be referring back to when we spoke about Proverbs chapter 3, verse 7, where it said, "Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil." And the "be not wise in thine own eyes" from chapter 3 is what we're going to be talking about today. That's relevant to what we spoke about then. And we're going to read again from Proverbs chapter 12, and we're going to go from verse 15 through 24. "The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man coverteth shame. He that spaketh the truth show forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. There is that speaketh like the piercing of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counselors of peace is joy. There shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. Lying lips are abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. A prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Now, like I said, this refers back to chapter 3, "Be not wise in thine own eyes." And the very first sentence that we read is almost the exact same thing. It's telling us the exact same thing. Verse 15 says, "The way of a fool is right in his own eyes." And that simply means that everything he says is right, everything he thinks is right, everything he does is right. He sees nothing beyond himself. People brag all the time about what they've done, what they've accomplished. I can do this, I did that. But they didn't do anything. It was the Lord that did it for them. They had those talents or those gifts when they were young, but they were too young to even appreciate them. So you have to grow into your talents and grow into your gifts. But you didn't put them there. But a lot of people are boastful about themselves. And that's what it means when it says, "The foolish find that they are right, but it's only in their eyes." Because we around them, we see them for what they really are. "But he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise." And hearken simply means listen, to hear, to pay attention, to heed to. So he that listens to wise counsel, and counsel is guidance and advice. And what is the book? What is this book? It's our counsel. It's our advice. These are the words we learn to live by. This is what guides us. This is our guide. This is our counsel. And this is how we become wise. And wise is what? Wisdom. And wisdom is in-depth thinking. And that's why we have to read daily and meditate and understand the words. That's why we go through them line by line to understand, to grasp fully the meaning of what we're reading. Verse 16. "A fool's wrath is presently known." Now, we already know who the fools are. And now the wrath simply means vengeful anger. So, when people are angry about something, they're ranting and raving, and you can always tell, even in conversation, if you're having a mild conversation, but the other person feels like you're not listening to what they're saying and what they're saying is right, they kind of go off in a tangent. and then you can see that. You can spot that. So that's what it means when it says presently known. But a prudent man covereth shame. And the prudent man, we said prudent was the ability to discipline yourself by the use of reason. So the prudent man covets his shame. That means if you do something wrong and you know you're wrong, you're ashamed of it. You're not going to broadcast the fact that you messed up. You're not going to broadcast the fact that you did something wrong because you know better. Because your reasoning is telling you, now you know you can't tell people how you did this or what you did. So you're covering your shame. And that's what the prudent person does. Covers. Verse 17. He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness. And what is truth? That's sincerity in your actions or your characteristics, how you speak, what you say, your honesty. He that speaketh truth shows forth righteousness. And righteousness is godliness. Righteousness is free from guilt, from sin. So when you're speaking the truth, when we're reading the book, we're reading the truth. So if you're reading, meditating, and understanding what we're saying, now you can tell somebody else. And that's becoming a better person. It's better for you, it's better for the other person, and it's better for God. Because that's where it all begins. He gave us these talents. He told us what to do. We read and we learn how to understand, how to think, how God wants us to think. And remember I told you before, a lot of times when you have issues or something you can't make your mind up about, just take a moment. Just stop for a moment. Don't jump up and make rash decisions. Think about it. Pray about it. Ask God to show you a way. You know what I say? What would Jesus do? Now, if he was here, what would he do in this situation? You never saw Jesus making rash decisions. He always thought and prayed about anything that was on his mind. And that's how he got his answer. But a false witness, you will get deceit. And we know what false witness is. Well, that means unintentionally true. You're just not telling the truth. And the witness, well, that's the person who's actually saying it, giving the, as you will, testimony. But as long as there's a false witness or somebody who's trying to talk fast to you or even trying to sell you things, we spoke about that. That's a false witness. They're not telling you the truth. They're being deceptive. And when you listen to them, you're being deceived. So you've got to, again, know how to actually see or understand what a person's saying to know if they're telling you the truth or not. And that goes back to what we were saying last week about ungodly counsel. You got to watch what people are telling you. You've got to think about, does it make sense? Is anything they're telling you honest? Do you know the right and wrong? You know if somebody's kind of selling you a bill of goods. But this is what you have to be aware of. These are what we call the false witnesses. Verse 18. Excuse me. There that speaketh like a piercing sword. That means somebody has a sharp tongue. You know, that means they're real abrasive, very abrupt and curt with their words. And words, you could say one or two words that are really cutting and piercing to another person. And we see it all the time. You see it a lot with these young people nowadays. They're really mean. They're very mean to other children. They talk about them badly. They treat them badly. And that's what it is. That's piercing. Piercing like a sword. Sometimes you feel better if somebody would just slap you rather than the harsh words that people use. And that's totally ungodly. And that's not what we're about. but the tongue of the wise is health. Well, we already know the wise is characteristic by the wisdom that you're having. And health simply means being of sound mind, body, and spirit. And that again goes back to, are you listening to godly counsel? Verse 19. The lip of truth shall be established forever. And truth again is sincere action characteristics, being honest, telling the truth, being sincere in everything that you do and say. And to be established, well, that means to bring into existence or to introduce to. So it's simply saying anyone that tells the truth is like we have here in the Bible. As long as you're finding it in the Bible, reading it in the Bible, and quoting from the Bible and speaking about the word. That is the truth. And that means this shall be established forever. But a lying tongue is for only a moment. Again, those are the evildoers that are just talking a bunch of stuff, and you can pick up on that right away, so that doesn't last very long at all. Only the truth shall be established forever. Verse 20. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil. Well, deceit, we know what that is. That's false. That's trickery. Trickery, and that's always in the heart of the evildoers. And we know who the evildoers are. And those are, we said, were the ones that can't rest, so to speak, unless they're harming someone else. They're the ones that we spoke about, walking around in darkness. They're the ones that we spoke about. They can't do anything. Their whole thing is based on harm being done to others. Those are the wicked. Those are the evil. Those are the ones that walk in darkness. We said we are the light. We are the light. We show the path. God shows us the path. We show others. We're the light that lights the way. But to the counselors of peace there is joy. And the counselors, again, are those that give the advice, godly advice. Good advice that follows the Bible. If you can look up something they're talking about and back it up with words in the Bible, then it's godly. This is where we get our guidance. So the counselors that speak of peace, they make calmness. They put you in a calm environment, a quiet environment. I'm sorry, I got distracted. How are you? Good, good. Yes, so the counselors of peace bring joy. And joy means great pleasure. Joy, I've heard it called a calm delight. A calm delight is when you wake up feeling good and you're having a good day, and even sometimes when you're not having a good day, it's still a good day because you're here to see that day. So a calm delight is you wake up feeling good and you go to bed with that same calmness, that same good feeling that you've had throughout the day. And all you're just doing is just thanking the Lord that you have another day, being grateful, and just enjoying what you have. Always goes back to being content with what you have. Because there are so many people that don't even have what we have. And we did speak about that before. How contentment is all that is required, is all that we need. So counselors of peace will bring joy. Verse 21. There shall no evil happen to the just. And who are the just? That's us, the ones that are trying to do right. We're trying to learn how to read and understand to follow God's word. That's how you become righteous. Righteous is godly. Righteous is doing what God tells us to do. Not, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we have to do things that maybe we don't feel we should have to do. But if you know it's right, then you do it. You do it regardless. But the wicked shall be filled with mischief. And we know who the wicked are. They're the evil ones. Anyone that is opposed to the word, anyone that's going the opposite of what God's telling us to do. Anything they're telling us to do, we know is the opposite of what we should be doing. And they, the wicked, are filled with mischief. And we said mischief was anything that causes harm. They're the ones that are walking around in darkness because they see not where they go. They don't have a light to light their way. They don't even have a path. But they thrive on being harmful to others. Verse 22 says, lying lips are an abomination to the Lord. Well, we already know what that means, but the abomination, of course, means extreme disgust or loathing. The Lord hates lying lips. That's just one of the things. He hates evilness and wickedness. But they that deal truly are his delight. That means he's very pleased with us. He's pleased with us when we come to him with our issues. He's pleased with us when we praise his name. That's why when you wake up every morning, you should just automatically say, well, thank you, Lord, for another day. Because without him, there wouldn't be another day. So we are his delight when we deal truly. Verse 23 says, a prudent man concealeth knowledge. And that means, well, we know what prudent means. That means the ability to discipline yourself by way of reason. So a prudent man concealeth knowledge. Concealeth means to hold it in, and not just hold it in like physically in your hand. It's to conceal it within your heart and within your mind. The knowledge that we get, that's how we learn how to live from day to day. Once we learn and get the knowledge, we get the wisdom, we get the understanding. Now it's up to us to go to and apply it in our daily life. Apply it in our daily life. But the heart of fools proclaim foolishness. So we know what that means. They're just talking a whole bunch of stuff. That means absolutely nothing. So we don't waste our time with that because that's not beneficial to us one way or the other. Verse 24 says, the hand of the diligent shall be ruled. And diligent simply means steadfast, earnest effort. When you work diligently, that means you're working hard. You're working with effort. Shall bear rule. That just simply means you will be the winner. So diligence always brings a winner. But the slothful shall be under tribute. And slothful means slow to move. Those that sit around and, they're not trying to do anything, but they want something, but they don't want to work to get it. They're the ones that you see hanging around. And it's just like we have scammers. You see scammers all the time. You hear them, you see them. How many spam calls do you get? That's them. They're the slothful. They're the ones that are just hanging around, thinking up schemes and ways to get your money. Or how many calls have you gotten where people are saying they're from certain organizations, taking up collections? You see it all the time. I get a lot of calls, a lot of spam calls. Not that I answer. When I see it says spam, I don't even answer. But they come from out of the country. I look at those area codes and things. They're not in Philadelphia or even any of our states. A lot of them are out of the country. And those are the ones. They're the slothful ones that are sitting around figuring out ways how they can take people's money, without having to do anything to get it. And that's what that is. And then it says, those people shall be under tribute. And tribute, and this means just under submission, because eventually, they're not going to be the winners. We're going to be the winners because we're doing what we're supposed to do. And that's why we were talking about ungodly counsel. These are people that will get on the phone and tell you anything. And they'll keep calling and calling until they get people that actually feel sorry for whatever they're saying or whatever they're trying to collect for. And that's how they scam people. So you've got to learn how to pick up on this. This is where your wisdom and your knowledge comes in. This is why you have to read daily and take these verses apart and meditate on them and think about it and think about how it applies to you in your life. Listen when those scammers call if you want to listen. But the point is to know that they're just selling a bill of goods. But your wisdom now, your reasoning is now kicking in. Your prudence is kicking in. And that's what we want. That's what it's all about. And that brings me to my poem for today. And I wrote this back in January. But I wanted to say that it has a lot to do with what we're saying, because it's about Satan trying to take over our mind, because that's all he wants. And this is called Under New Management. The devil can't do anything without our giving consent. The next time he comes, have a sign on your mind reading Under New Management. The devil comes to steal and destroy. That's always his intent. But now he knows your heart and mind are under new management. No matter what Satan throws your way to try to disrupt your content, he'll see Jesus standing there and he'll know you're under new management. Never stop trusting in the Lord. Who better to represent? With him you know you'll always succeed when you're under his management. And I wrote that because I thought, now that's just like, it's just like when you see a store and it says under new management, has a sign under new management. That means somebody's new is in charge. Somebody new is taking control. Somebody new is handling it. That means things are going to be different. And that made me think. So yeah, we're under new management because we're learning a whole new way of living. We're under new management because we are turning ourselves over to God. We're trusting him. And we said in Proverbs 3, trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Well, this is where we start. We turn ourselves over to him, trust him to take charge of our lives, to make the changes that we need to make. He'll show us the way. All we have to do is follow his guideline. I mean, God gives us chance after chance. So it's not like, well, I don't know, I've done this, that, and the other, but it doesn't matter what we've done. Every day that we get is a new day for a new change and a new beginning. So don't let it pass you by, because this is your opportunity. And my closing words for today, we've had a lot to think about and a lot to talk about, but my closing words, no matter where you are in your life today, just remember that God gives you chance after chance. He's given us numerous chances, and he always will. All you have to do is pray, ask for forgiveness. But once he's given you forgiveness, you've got to accept it. Accepting his forgiveness is what makes you free of it. Now you can move on to do what he wants you to do. Don't go back a month later and say, I wonder if God really forgave me. Once you get his forgiveness, you must accept it. Accepting it is very important. That's the final step. Now you can move on to do what he wants you to do next. God has a plan for you. Make no mistake. He has a plan for all of us, no matter what you think or what you don't think. It's irrelevant because he's still in charge. Whether you like it or not, know it or not, acknowledge it or not, that doesn't matter either. He's still in charge. And my closing words are, with God, you're never paroled. You're always pardoned. Until next week, I'm Lelia Lewis. Thanks for joining.